Let's talk all about AI in business. It's hosted by Brent Muller. Welcome to the Future Proof Podcast.
Hi, and welcome to the Future Proof Podcast. I'm your host, Brent Muller, and today we have Joe Shopp from Eden Energy. Joe, we're excited to have you. Welcome.
Thank you, Brent. Welcome. I'm glad to be on the show.
Yeah, we're really excited. You guys, I think Joe's going to blow some of your minds today. Joe's technology is really cutting edge, and I think you're going to see this before everybody in the world knows what it is. But so, Joe, tell us, before we jump in to Eden, right? Tell us a little bit about you and your backstory and how you got to what, here at Eden today. Everyone likes to hear the founder's journey. So let's, you're no different. So why don't you start?
Yeah, I will tell you that one's going to be very interesting. I think that one's going to really shake people up as much as what Eden is, because I do not come to this position through traditional methods. And as a matter of fact, I am the VP and chairman, and those roles you typically grow into over years of being an executive and, advancing in your career. And really, I took the role as chief production officer at Eden initially, but Jonathan, our CEO, who is just a great guy. I mean, he's one of the original inventors. He said, you've got more skill sets than just a chief production officer. So I'd like to move you up a little bit and put you in some other roles. And having said that, I don't have traditional education or background. I really come by this through very, very hard knocks. Went through a very rough life.
I love that even more, by the way. Yeah.
Well,
experience is the best teacher.
It really is. I mean, it really helped me to grow up and understand what it means to be a man and how to be able to lead and run a business. I mean, running a business is not easy, but went through a pretty rough life. And I will tell you, my faith is really what's launched me to get here. I heard God clearly on audible voice.
Absolutely.
When I was 5 years old. I heard him say, "You're going to do something for me one day, son, something great." And I heard it so loud that I looked around and I said, "Nana, did you hear that?" I was at my grandmother's house. She said, "Hear what?" I said, "I'm supposed to do something one day, something great." She said, "I know." We went on about my business. Right after that, I was really in the hands of turmoil. I was put in a position. My mom was in rough spots, so she didn't really have much of a chance. So I ended up in really rough spots. Abusive people. I mean, physically, mentally, sexually, everything you could imagine, the abuse that you could suffer as a child, I think I went through. And then
I hate that for you.
I didn't let most of that deter me, right? I mean, I'm very resilient. God has built me up to be strong. So carried on, pressed through, get through the middle ages of my life. My abuser ended up abusing my little sister, which sent me in a little bit of a spiral, right? I was very hurt by that. And it was hard to try to overcome. You can hurt me, don't hurt my people. I'm very, very, very protective of my family.
I'll bet that made you even more protective.
It really did. I mean, that's one of my skill sets. I excel in protection, and I do take care of. Everybody says in Eden, Joe is the protector. I keep my eye on everybody, and I make sure they're safe and protected.
But they run through a wall for you for that reason. I love that.
Well, they would, but through some circumstances in home life, I ended up deciding at 15 that I'd probably be better off making my way on my own. So I lived in Elgin, Texas, and decided at the age of 15, well, I grew up in Austin. I know the area. I'm going to walk to Austin. I'm going to find a job. I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to grow up and get moving. The first night out, standing in a homeless camp, the smell of piss and beer, and seeing some of the people in that homeless camp, I really sat down and thought, I'm going to die. I'm not going to make it. I'm going to die. And I sat down and I started to pray. I said, "God, this cannot be the plan you have for my life." And he said, "Of course it's not. This is not the plan I have for your life. So, you'll figure that out and you'll make your way." And homelessness was not where I intended to be. Found my way into the construction field, as you might imagine, with no skill sets, no trade, no education.
Yeah.
And, that led me to the first stepping stone of, I didn't want to be homeless. I didn't want to be poor. I didn't want to be broke. And I wanted to be able to make a difference. So you're not going to be able to make a difference without money, right? That's one of the key things you're going to need to be able to provide and make a way in this world.
Absolutely.
Money is not the root of all evil. It is the love of it. And if we eliminate the love of it, it is a great tool to be able to serve a great purpose.
Yep.
So, I worked some construction job, worked for a friend of mine that I worked for his stepdad, started roofing, and then very quickly became the team lead over his three sons that had always worked for him, and my brother, my older brother, who that's how I ended up. He ended up coming into Austin searching for me because I'd left home at 15 and hadn't returned, and my mom thought I was dead. You know, she was, which I really hate that. It really broke her heart. She thought I was dead. So that was hard to recover for her, but ended up working with my brother. His three sons, became the crew lead. The guy was very, very irresponsible with our paychecks, and I finally told him that I was 18. I said, look, I was 17. I said, if you come back here again without my paycheck, right, on Friday, I'm going to quit. And I quit working for him. The contractor that we were working for called me up the very next day and said, hey, why don't you come to work for me directly? And I said, well, that'd be great, but I'm 17 years old. I don't have a truck. I don't have any tools. I got my little hand tools that I work with. And no worries. Meet me here at this address tomorrow. I show up. It's a car lot. He buys me a $3,000 truck, pick up the truck. We drive over to another yard. He buys me a $1,500 pull behind trailer, takes me to Home Depot, buys me every single tool that I'll need to run a crew effectively. And from there, I'm in business, right?
Isn't it amazing? God put somebody in your life, for sure.
He did. Stacy Pearson, roofing by Stacy Pearson. I'll never forget that man. He's still a dear friend of mine. From the age of 17, we still visit with each other because he really did.
Love that.
He gave me a shot, right? And then from there, you know, life was not easy. I was 17 years old. I started making tons of money. Obviously, from the lifestyle that I grew up in, I found drugs and alcohol pretty easily. I mean, living on the streets and being afraid and living in the conditions that I did, you numb out the pain of the abuse and then the fear from where you're at. So, you know, through business, those things did take a toll on my life. And then eventually, you know, my wife, who I've known since I'm 8 years old, we didn't start out as husband and wife. We knew each other. We stuck around for years. I ended up her and I connected again. I got ripped off by a business partner. He took off with all our money, left me in a spot. I went to work for my wife's dad, which is where my biggest blessing of my entire life came in. I was working on a 2-story house up on a roof, a little bit of a slope. I took a spill, slipped off, fell 2 stories, broke myself up into a bunch of pieces.
Oh.
And that people say, that's your biggest blessing? And I said, yes, absolutely. Because it took 10 years away from my life. This arm was broken in 7 places from wrist to elbow, big pins, bolts sticking out of it, but my heel was crushed. They did 10 surgeries over 10 years. And then the last final surgery, they said, you're never going to recover. You know, this foot's gone. The best chance, if you want a normal life, we can amputate below the knee and give you a prosthetic. You'll have a great life. You'll be able to run and play with your kids again. That's all you said you wanted. So we can get that for you. And that was scheduled for a Wednesday. Wasn't in church, big believer, didn't go to church. I was a youth basketball coach. My wife and I met a woman in that league that we'd gotten to be friends with over the about 7 years. And she said, Joe, I know you're going to have surgery on Wednesday. Before you go have your leg cut off, why don't you come to our church? Let us pray over you. So I did. And I still have both legs.
Wow.
Something took place that day, without a doubt. Everybody saw it. Everybody in my entire life witnessed it. So that can't be discarded. It can't be changed. It can't be taken away.
Miracles do happen.
They really do. And, that actually, through that portion, my wife had said, look, every day you go out and work, I'm sick. So I left the construction industry, went into the manufacturing industry for about 13 years. I was building oil field and aerospace parts, which really gave me the experience to be able to go where we're fixing to go with Athena or with Eden in our manufacturing process. I did that for about 12, 13 years, and standing at my machine one day, I just got a big raise. They were trying to court me to go into the front office and be management. And I said, no, I'll manage the entire machine shop, but I do not want to go inside. They gave me a big raise. The very next day, God said, I want you to quit this job. I want you to go back into construction with your brother. That was in 2011. The construction economy was the worst it had been in about 35 years. And I told my brother, I said, I'm quitting my lucrative career and I'm going to come out there and I'm going to work with you and Steve, our uncle, help you guys get the business going again. And he said that's dumb. I'll fight you first. It's dead out here. You're going to come out here. You're going to throw your career away and you're going to starve to death with us because there's no work. I said, yeah, well, we'll see. So from there, no truck, no tools, no nothing. I quit my job after 2 weeks notice. I was on a Thursday. I took the Friday off, deep breath, fresh air. I called my brother. I said, hey, I'm not doing anything today. I know that sounds counterintuitive and counterproductive to what we're fixing to do. I said, but I'm taking a day off and I'm going to catch my breath. I said, but mark my words, we'll be working by Monday. He had been courting this other roofing company. They had a sub job. They called him up that Friday. Hey, can you start this job on Monday? From there, we grew a very lucrative family-owned and operated construction business, which led us to putting on a roof for a gentleman in 2012, building a very good relationship through our craftsmanship with him, which we built him about a $2 million home, which he lives in to this day. In 2017, he was in regenerative agriculture, went to a regenerative agriculture event in Florida where he met Jonathan Appel, our CEO.
Your CEO.
Jonathan was starting Eden. It was the next iteration of the family business in the model.
Right.
Said, hey, we're going to grow this business. We're looking for some people that could come in and help us grow and scale it. And my name happened to get mentioned. Jonathan and I met, sat down, and he talked to me about what he was doing and taking waste and turning it into clean, regenerative energy. Saw a video of it, and I said, wow, that's really interesting. And he asked me if I wanted to be his business partner and help him grow this business. I went to New York where all of his equipment was stationed. We loaded it all up, came back to Austin, Texas, built a lab here, and started the most progressive, most innovative waste to energy company on the planet.
I love the build up. So now let's talk about Eden. For all the listeners out here, Joe, explain what Eden does and what it's about to change the whole landscape of renewable energy and waste producing.
Yeah. So Eden Energy Solutions is the name of the company. We really brand it as Eden. We just leave it as Eden. And Eden is a waste to energy company. We call it that, but because that's the layman term, that's what people mostly understand, but is a carbon conversion technology that can take every type of carbon-based waste in a wet and mixed stream and process it simultaneously with no byproducts, no contamination, no pollution, with the cleanest regenerative pollution, all third-party tested and validated. And we've done studies with MIT, Lehigh, Harvard, Argonne National Labs. I mean, we have touched with the DOD, the DOE, DARPA. We have many, many studies out there over the last 27 years validating all of the technological advancements we've made. And you can take all of this waste, put it into our equipment. You're going to process it all at the same time. The only thing that doesn't go in and convert is rocks, metal, and glass. Outside of that, everything else goes in and you get crude oil, natural gas, biochar, and the highest grade organic fertilizers on the planet. And again, when we make these claims, these are claims made by third parties. And they're the ones who said, wow, this is the cleanest burning.
For everybody listening, right? Give them some examples, right? Real world, like you were talking about tires, right?
Yes, absolutely. So tires are one of the biggest waste problems we have. You can take plastic bottles, those tires, rubber, plastic bottles, the best feedstocks you can put into the equipment, and they produce high yields. So you get a lot of energy out of it. And what people see from waste as a liability, we understand it to be a commodity. When you see this big pile of waste at a landfill, people see this trash and rubble. We see piles of gold, and we have learned how to mine the carbon out of that waste and turn it into valuable end-use product.
And what you're describing, which is, it's so mind-boggling because it's actually, so I don't know if you ever heard the story of, I believe it was Rockefeller, but when all the lakes up in the Midwest were catching fire, when they throw the kerosene, right, remnants off, and all the lakes were catching fire, right? And it was because that was gasoline, right? It was what they thought was trash was the gold. But what you're talking about is actual trash from people that you're turning in, that you see as gold. It's unbelievable to me.
Yeah, absolutely. It is the most innovative waste energy technology on the planet.
And so talk about that. Like, I mean, to me, this is going to change everything.
Yeah.
Every municipality should be using this.
If you do national studies, you look up some of our most existential threats, and we can talk about climate and how it's changing and evolving. And
on a different. I love the fact that you're reimagining and changing the landscape of how we think about waste.
That's right. And so two of the biggest problems that we do face, not only in our country, but across the globe, is waste, reclamation. Where does it go? How do we get rid of it? Most of it's being land applied and polluting, and it's causing many, many people to be very, very sick. And then energy. That's our other problem that we really face. You know, here in Texas, every summer, the news is screaming at the people, turn your systems down. In the winter, turn them up. Hey, don't use electricity. And Eden has the solution to both of those problems. And people say we get two birds with one stone. We've changed the saying, we save two birds with one nest, right? We're all about regeneration, saving things, making it better, restoring things, ecosystems, wildlife. That's all part of what Eden stands for.
And, you know, it's so funny you're saying this, Joe, because, you know, one of the arguments I always say is that we don't count on and we don't give technological breakthroughs, which this is, enough credence until everybody knows about it. But when we think about problems, we a lot of times we're stuck in our current thinking. What this is, it's not even a breakthrough. It's a quantum leap in solving two, like you said, two birds with one stone, or saving two birds with one nest. I love it.
Yeah. And you know, to go further into what Eden is doing, we have a philanthropic arm, right, that will be dedicated to restoring wildlife, habitats, humanity, and mostly communities. The business model, the revenue streams for Eden, when you can take your product that you need to generate your revenue, and that's either free or you get paid, and then you can the value of that. There's a lot of money to be made, right? There's a lot of money to go around. So Eden, one of our mottos is that we'll do well by doing good. So the Eden Initiative, Eden has to donate 5% of its proceeds to the Eden Initiative. No one owning more than 1% in Eden can take a penny from the Eden Initiative. It's not a slush fund. It's not something that the executives can enrich themselves off of. Myself, the CEO, and several other of the founders have agreed to putting 30% of our dividends back into the Eden Initiative. The Eden Initiative is designed, I don't know if you've heard about what garbage dump communities, but there are over 15 million people around the world living in what you and I would pull up to and know as the landfill, the dump. There are people, little children, 15 million people around the world live in what we call the landfill, and the average lifespan is 35 years old. The average working person is from the ages of 3 to 7 years old out there mining landfills to find some scrap that they could sell to provide something for their families. And the Eden Initiative is it is our mission that we will go in, we will set equipment there at no cost. We will clean up that wasteland. We can literally clean up the soil. Eden's system, all of that contaminated soil, will scoop that up with a front end loader that will go right into the system. It will process that soil, re-land apply it. Now you have this beautiful, enriched soil. We're going to produce biochar and fertilizers that we're going to apply to that land. We're going to build food for us, because regenerative agriculture is also something that Eden does. And all of the proceeds that we generate from mining that landfill, which will be millions and millions of dollars, we will turn right back around and we will put it right back into that community.
That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. This is the kind of technological advancement that people dream of, right? Because it's like a quadruple win, right? You're taking waste, cleaning up waste, you're turning it into energy, you're generating revenue, and you're able to then repurpose that land. And I didn't even hit, right, that we talked about earlier on the ROI for this, for the municipalities that are already struggling themselves with a problem like this, that they're not even think of, that all of a sudden now it can turn into energy.
Right. Well, and this is a true economy booster. Again, you're taking a free liability and you're turning it into a high valuable commodity. So for a municipality that is struggling to balance the bottom line, this is a very, very easy cash flow injection machine that will absolutely change the bottom line. It creates a lot of high paying jobs. We're dealing with an island nation right now that has a very serious waste problem. They are on the verge of collapse. And we went through the process with them earlier today on a $147 million purchase. Their return, they would realize that in less than 2 years. That is without credits and incentives, right? We've dug deep into the IRA legislation. The IRA legislation, again, I won't get into those things. It's not real good legislation except for the energy packages. The energy section on that, it touches everything that Eden does. And it allows us to recover, or our clients rather, to recover a lot of their CapEx on the front end so that it is a burden on them. And then the returns, if you add in the credits and incentives, and we have a little button on our pro forma, you can turn them on or turn them off. They have to stand alone, right? This system has to stand alone. If our client purchases it, they cannot be relying on credits and incentives that may or may not be there next year.
Right. That has to be gravy, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Standalone business model. And on a $147 million purchase, that is a 2-year return. It doesn't seem reasonable, but when we show people, when we showed this island nation the pro forma and we said, hey, your electric rates are this. You're going to realize your return because you're not paying that electric rate anymore. Your biochar cost is this. You're going to sell that biochar and you're going to make a return. Your liquid fertilizer costs are this. You're going to sell that and you're going to make a return. And your fuel costs are this. You'll sell that and you'll make your returns. The business models.
What island wouldn't want this technology, right? I mean, it's not like they're making more land. You're not expanding.
Right. Yeah, we've got one particular island nation that there's a multi-nation or multi-island connection there that they're obviously having some significant waste issues, and they have a 63-acre landfill. We need 10 acres for our footprint. They've got 53 acres of usable property that sells in the area we're looking at for $2 million an acre. So there is so much value behind what Eden is doing. And all of the value that we're generating from it, we're just returning it back to the community.
Fantastic. I love it. Honestly, Joe, we're going to have to touch base a couple times this year because I can't imagine the stories that you're going to have. And again, we're probably going to see you on every major news channel. All right. This is just you. And for everybody out there, Joe and I talked earlier, but they're about to be everywhere. Right. This is your year, right? You've gone through all the phases and this is just unbelievable technology. Talk to us about, you were telling me some great stories earlier, right? About how AI comes into, because again, for Future Proofed, our podcast, we're about, how is emerging tech and data and AI and automation coming in, and a couple different factors. AI, what did you call it? Actuated, not automated, but still. Tell the viewers a little bit about that and how that works.
Yeah, so obviously, technology is the future of what we're going to be doing. So, we want to run systems that are advanced, and Eden Energy Solutions, right? When we came up with the name, we really wanted to be an energy company, right? We want to produce energy, but we're really a solutions-based company. And we're working on rolling out multiple other technologies, but our AI is definitely one of those. We will have in our smaller systems, these are 53-foot cargo trailer, 2 tons per day, mobile, able to take them around. They're actuated, right? You're going to have an operator that's going to have an iPad. You're going to push a button. You can say open valve A. That's going to open with an actuated valve. And you'll say close, it'll close. But our larger systems, so we have a Revelation, that's the mobile systems, that's either on a trailer or a container, shipping container. And then you've got your Trinity systems, 10 tons a day up to 60 tons a day. And then you got your Genesis systems, 60 tons and up to 5,000 tons per day. So the larger systems from Trinity up to the Genesis, those will be AI run with a system called Atom, and that's automated decentralized ascension.
What's
Anyway, Matrix.
Module.
Yeah, matrix. It's automated,
Matrix.
centralized ascension matrix, right? And Adam runs Eden. And so all of the systems will be on a machine learning software that we've generated and are working on.
This is where it gets really cool. Yeah. So explain
Yes.
how that, yeah.
Right. So you're processing waste and you've got a system up in California and you're processing waste and you've got a system up in Switzerland. You're running fats, oil, and grease and tires and rubber in your California system. You got one over here running the same products or waste streams in Switzerland. And those two systems are going to communicate. They're going to send the information back from an optimization process that says, when we ran through this process, our time and our temperature, we found a better end result from this product. So we're going to send that back to the central hub. That central hub's going to communicate that out to the other piece of equipment and say, hey, change your hold time, change your parameter here, and you're going to produce a better product. So our clients aren't left with the task of, hey, how do we improve this system? Eden is constantly trying to figure out how do we improve our system so that our client improve their bottom line.
It's like crowdsourcing AI optimization. Yes. Phenomenal. I love that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Joe, as you start to think about, again, what an exciting year you're going to wind up having. I mean, I'm like giddy about this. This is unbelievable. Tell me a little bit about, as you look out, what can you see over the next couple of years? I mean, this is just revolutionary. So, you must be bursting at steam, but what else do you see, right, in problems that you can solve? Because like you said, you're involved in other techs with Eden that you're not even talking about on this episode.
Right. I mean, there are multiple areas, that we see over the next couple of years where Eden, for one, will be a household name. That's something we're looking forward to. It's not about pride or ego. It is about doing what is best kind, right? Yeah. We're trying to impact people. So over the next 2 years, we see some significant projects taking place. We're building regenerative communities. Eden is partnering with municipalities, with governments, with like-minded business members. I mean, we met in Vegas last week, probably 15 or 20 billionaires and probably 15 or 20 millionaires in one location at one after party from CES. We went there for Consumer Electronics Showcase.
Yep. Famous show every year. Yep.
At this very prominent after party in Vegas, we met some of the most Christ-centered, God-loving people that had the same mission in mind, right? How do we help our brothers and sisters? How do we lift them up? How do we bring them up? So we have started a coalition of some of the wealthiest, some of the top ranking officials, business leaders in the country. We have built a coalition of people who have regenerative communities in mind. So we're targeting already a community in the Nevada area to use as our first test facility, where we will go in, purchase the land, and we will develop that property into regenerative homes, regenerative agriculture, regenerative farming, regenerative energy, all of those processes in place to where
it's regenerative, fill in the blanks. There's nothing you can't really do.
Regenerative education. It is a true philanthropic venture that will bring every man, woman, and child along with us. We see the model as a participatory model, and that we want to include everybody. We don't want any more infighting. We don't want any more separation. We want people to come together as brothers and sisters in Christ, love each other, and then participate. And then when we see, hey, you're off over here, you're not participating. Well, you're not discarded. We're not going to throw you away. Why aren't you participating? Oh, you don't have any skill sets, no tools. Guess what? We have a toolbox full of tools over here. We're going to give them to you for free. We have a bunch of professionals that know how to use those tools flawlessly so that we can teach you how to use them so that you can participate. And not only participate, but participate at a very high level. This is what we see over the next couple of years with Eden.
And you know what the greatest thing about this is? One, I love that that you're so faith-based, because I right with you. I love that. Two, do you realize that the bridge that you're going to close this gap on the politics alone, because there's nobody that's not going to be for this. I can see this as a uniting thing. If you're an environmentalist, right, and you're on this side and a capitalist on this, you're coming together. This is like the best win-win I've seen in my lifetime. It's fantastic.
It really is the one that, and my business partner, my brother Jonathan, our CEO, he sounds like me. I mean, we look completely different. He's 6'4" and 300 pounds. He's a big New Yorker, but he has that same heart and passion for mankind, for wildlife, for habitat, and that's Eden's entire mission, is to bring everybody back up, restore the garden, make a landing spot for Jesus when he does come back, and let it be a cleaned up place, not something that we've discarded everything because we think we can, because at some point we're just going to pollute and toxify ourselves to death. And, the earth would just shake us off of it.
Hopefully that Eden is going to reverse that trend, my friend, because listen, I think I'd be surprised if later this year I'm not seeing you on an interview with Elon and Vivek and with Doji. I mean, to me, this is the kind of thing, the revolutionary type of breakthrough that it's just better for everybody. So I'm like I said, I couldn't be more excited about this.
Well, Brent, obviously it's been exciting here being on the show. And I will tell you from my perspective with Eden and what we've done in our mission, you having me on is really a boost to what we're doing, right? We got to get the message out to people. We got to show people that there's hope, that there's a better way, and that there are people right now cultivating that better way. And I can tell you right now, that's part of our mission is to get people like you out and seen and let people know this is happening. So I'm sorry. Go ahead. We just want to change the world. And I don't want to sell any of our team members short. Every single one of them has put hundreds of thousands of dollars into this, sweat equity, blood, sweat, and tears. They've gone without. Some have been homeless through the process over the last 2 years because they gave of everything that they have to make sure we can get this out to mankind, because Eden was not created to enrich the executives that have put it together. It was designed to enrich mankind. Our CEO says, hey, I've been stewarded with the CEO role, but God owns this company and he tells us how to run it.
Amen. Absolutely. And this can't get out into the world fast enough. So, Joe, thinking about this, you've blown my mind, and all of our viewers I know are going to be like, wow. And I apologize in advance because there's going to be investors that just knock your door down because of this technology. Who doesn't want to be involved in this? Like, it's just phenomenal, right? You have one of the greatest stories that I've heard in my lifetime, which is fantastic. That's why I'm so excited about it. I can't wait to have you back later in the year, just if I can get you, just to hear a follow-up and see how it's going. But tell me a little bit about, because again, you're at that last phase, right? So tell me that this is like launch point, right? 2025. This is get it out into the world. Tell me what the biggest challenges are, because I got to tell you, if there's anything, any of our listeners, any of our interviewees, other CEOs and founders that can help you, I want that message out loud and clear.
One of the biggest hurdles that we have had to overcome, my business partner, his father invented this, right? A quick backstory on that. A Mayan shaman told him that 27 years ago, he said, you're going to create something one day that's going to clean up the world, right? He was not a scientist. He was not in that industry. He became a scientist through just desire, but through the process of getting here, I think I kind of dropped my train of thought on that.
No, you were talking about the founder's father, like who invented it and what, how that came about 27 years ago.
Right. I really lost my train of thought on that.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Really, what we were trying to think is how did he come up with this idea?
Hurdles, my apologies. Yeah. The hurdles, right?
Yeah.
So when you have a technology like this that's been in operation in multiple iterations, but then had some geopolitical challenges, people say, well, if it's so good, why isn't it everywhere? Right. And then when they see it's so good, people say it's too good to be true.
It's too good to be true, right? I totally get it.
That has been one of the biggest hurdles we've had to overcome. From an investment standpoint, people look at the pro forma and they go, you can't invest $147 million and get that back in 2 years. That's not possible. You're selling snake oil, but we're really not. So our plant that ran for 13 years, this is where we get a lot of our data to tell people, well, that plant ran at an 86% energy efficiency. It generated 11 million barrels of or gallons of oil a year. And then we could take the price shift from all of that and calculate out what those returns look like. And we did it year after year with just one small plant that was actually relegated to just food handling and animal waste. We've advanced this.
Not even all the other stuff that we're talking about.
We've advanced it so far that we learned through chemical conversions on breaking down these molecules down to the smallest molecular level that you're going to end up with these clean, viable end-use products, and you can put everything in all at one time.
Yeah. And, Joe, that has been, for every technology breakthrough, that has been the story. Your story is no different, and you're going to overcome it no differently. The best part is I'm hoping that my podcast and similar podcasts, which I'm already going to refer you to some of our sister podcasts, because you should be on there telling this story, because it's too good not to be out in the world. And even if everything you said, even if it only did half of what you said, it still needs to be in the world. Right. Yeah. So that's the point that, listen, if you go read some of the books, if you read this story about, Microsoft, you read the story about Uber, like any of those stories, they all have the same thing. No, it'll never work. No, it's too good to be true. Joe, all the naysayers you can just dismiss, because all you need to do is you already have the data to back it up, is get this out into the world and people will see, and the momentum will be unstoppable.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
if we can help that in any way, I hope we can, because I want to excel.
Yeah, I think you guys already have. I think once, this gets out there, we are a unique story. And when people look, I've been telling this story for 2 years, and I haven't seen one single person yet that hasn't gone, what? Wow. And it's all validated, right? It would be different if Eden, the founders of it, were just telling these stories. But when we produce all the raw data, you just can't refute it. And now we're ready. It is perfect timing. I told my business partner, Jonathan, when he first called me the first day, and he told me through all the geopolitical setbacks that they had. I mean, they started out in Turkey in 2016. They got ready to build a 1,500 ton per day facility, and there was a failed coup d'etat. The country imploded. So did the business, right? So there was all these geopolitical setbacks. And when I talked to Jonathan, I said, hey, I'm sorry you guys had to go through all that, but God didn't have all the right pieces in place yet. So now we're here. Now let's get it going.
Yeah. His timing's perfect, right? Exactly.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, there's no better day, no better year to launch this than 2025. I feel like there's more changes in a good way across the country, across the world. I know we always hear all the bad stuff, but I just feel like there's stories like this that people need to hear so they understand that it is not doom and gloom. There is so much more positive. And Joe, I can't wait to get this. I'm going to fast track this episode to get it up because I'm just so excited about it. So Joe, last thing, right? You have been an absolute pleasure to have on. I'm so excited for you. Please tell everybody how they can get in touch with you guys, because I'm hoping that many, many people hear this.
Yeah.
And we'll put all the links below, but go ahead.
Right. You can follow us at Eden Energy X, right, on X. Instagram, it's the same handle, at Eden Energy X. I have been really bad with my socials here lately. I've been away from social media for 2 solid years. And then, of course, I got the whisper in the ear that said, hey, I need you to get back to that. Mm-hmm. So we have actually much more social media than what I'm listing here. So what I'd like to do is just send all of that over to you guys. And
I'll reach out and get it all. Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll blast that out.
It'll all be linked below.
Yeah, because we really want to tell the story of Eden, right? We want to really get the mission of Eden out there and just really let people know.
That's going to be your job in 2025, my friend. Unfortunately, you just need to tell this story. That's it.
Yeah. We got to get the story of hope out there.
Yeah. Well, Joe, I can't thank you enough for being our guest today. I love this. This is one of the most fun, entertaining, and educational ones. But I mean, this is going to be something that we look back on and go, remember this? This was just the starting, right? Yeah.
Well, Brent, you've been a gracious and pleasant host. Really, really been a pleasure being here. I really appreciate the time.
Well, thank you so much. And guys, like I said, get involved. If you don't know how to get involved, push someone to watch this, because this is a game changer for sure.
All right,
thanks,
Brent.
everybody. And we'll see you on the next episode.
If you're ready to embrace change and lead with innovation, be sure to subscribe and never miss an episode. Thanks for tuning in to the Future Proof Podcast.